When it comes to foldable phones, like the Pixel Fold, and you can honestly substitute in my OnePlus Open or even a Z Fold device for this topic, there's a particular question that I get all the time, either in the comments or on social media. Why do you need that? There is this camp of people who say there's no point to being able to do this. And it does always kind of strike me as a little bit funny. In this video, what I kind of want to do is maybe peel back a couple of layers and talk about, strangely enough, some personal stuff a little bit, but then also kind of show you a little, microcosm, you could say, of why I absolutely adore folding phones. So for a little bit of context here, which may seem weird at first, but trust me, it's going to make sense through the course of this video. Just stick with me. It'll be an interesting ride, I think. Back on the 16th of this month, I posted this on Threads. Starting to suspect that staring at a screen from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day, waiting on something to happen in the tech space so that I can be the first person on YouTube covering it might not be the healthiest thing for me. And indeed, that is what I do on most of my just normal days. I am probably in this chair. I'm looking at Feedly. I am looking, which is basically just an RSS feed with all these news sources. I'm looking at a tech list on Twitter. I'm looking at Threads where there are several things that get posted there that I, pick up on as well. I'm just waiting for some inspiration, right? It's not always a news story, but sometimes it'll just be a post that someone makes, a comment someone makes on one of my videos, and I read it. It triggers a thought, and I'm off and rolling, and I have a piece of content I can make. For those of you that don't know, I post 1 or 2 videos every single day with the exception of usually Sunday. And when you post twice a day, you end up kind of always being on the search for content. And that's in addition to like reviewing products, of which I have done quite a few of in the last couple of days. Like I'm focused on the review, but I'm also focused on the stuff I can post before the review because maybe the review can't be posted for 3 or 4 more days, but I got to post stuff in the interim. So you get what I'm saying. I'm constantly kind of racking my brain for that creative spark to come up with something to talk about, and that has been kind of crummy for my mental health. It's become a point of stress for me. You got to understand that when you have a normal job and you go and you clock in, people don't really clock in anymore, do they? They clock in maybe on a computer. Once you're there, someone or, there's a particular job that you do and it's there for you every day. You go in and you probably do the same thing every day or the same few things every day and it's provided to you. You clock in, you're making money, you do your job, you clock out, you go home. With my job, if I don't post something, I make less money. It's incumbent upon me to think of something to tell you guys to get you interested to watch a video in order for me to make money. I'm getting way off track. You can understand where I'm coming from. But something that I've been thinking about is, Shane, you need to find a hobby. You need something to pull you away from this infinite loop of sit in front of the computer, looking for something, thinking, trying to think of something, racking your brain. You need something to get you moving around, get out of the house. You need a hobby. And because I am just as big of a dork as you probably think I am, I actually turned to Google Gemini for advice. I asked it for some advice finding a hobby. I told it some things that I enjoyed doing. I said, what would you have me do, oh, wise and powerful Google Gemini? And it actually suggested bird watching. And at first I thought, that sounds kind of cool, but it's really daunting, right? Like, I don't necessarily know enough birds. Like, I know some birds. I know a robin when I see one, but I don't know all of the birds. And so I see a bird and I'm like, there's a bird. And I look at it and I think, I don't know what that is though. There it is. And I've seen it and I've looked at it and I've watched it and I don't know what else to do with that. So I kind of put that away. But then yesterday, actually a couple days ago now, I was sitting in the backyard, lounging, trying to kind of relax as best I could. And I kept hearing a particular call nearby. And I thought, that is such an odd call. I don't know that I recognize that. And I thought there must be an app for this. So I pulled out my Pixel Fold. I went into the Play Store and I searched for Bird Calls Identifier. And I looked around and I thought, man, there's a lot of these applications. And I scrolled down to the first result here, BirdNet, which by the way, I thought was a pretty clever name. And I went ahead and installed BirdNet. And when I opened it up, this application kind of blew my mind because what it's doing is it's just listening to the sound around me. It's hearing me talk. And what you can do is you're outside, you hear a bird talking, you hear it doing its thing, and once you're sure that its call is in this waveform, you simply select that portion of the waveform and click on Analyze, and it's going to tell you what that bird is. My mind was absolutely blown, and as you can see here, go to my observations, you can see all of these birds that has helped me identify. That is really, really cool. But I thought there must be more than this. There must be some way to further gamify this. So I looked again and I saw this, I guess that'd be Audubon Bird Guide. So I installed this application as well. And what this basically does, as you can see, is it kind of sort of gamifies this, right? So I can look and I can see what birds have been spotted around me, but even cooler, I can spot birds and I can key them in and I can say, these are the birds that I have seen and where I've seen them. I kind of cheated a little bit because I had a really cool picture of this Cooper's hawk and I thought that needs to be documented. So I went back and added a couple of older photos, but these are all the recent ones that I have spotted in the last couple of days, and I can log them, and I kind of dig seeing the sightings number and the birds seen thing go up. And let's take this actually a step further, because I was using this application called Be Nice. Now on other foldable devices you don't actually need this, but with the Pixel Fold it doesn't have app pairs built in. But I made my own app pair, and you can see that it is here in this little folder, and when I launch this, it fires up my two applications side by side, and I have had a ton of fun going for walks around my neighborhood or in areas where there might be birds. And as I'm walking around, I'm scanning for calls, and when I hear something that I don't recognize, I highlight it. This app identifies it. I log it over here, and I am having a blast. And to take things a step further, you might want to take a picture of the bird that you just saw. And yes, you would be better off if you had like a proper camera with like a proper zoom lens or something like that. But let's not forget that the Pixel Fold has a 5x optical zoom. Let's not forget that the OnePlus Open has a very high resolution 3x telephoto optical zoom. And on top of that, it's such high resolution that you could realistically make it into a 6x optical zoom that is still going to be fairly high resolution and quite lossless. So your foldable device probably has a pretty darn serviceable zoom lens as well. And this kind of underscores for me the appeal of these devices. The fact that I can be walking around with one device, half the screen is identifying bird calls, half the screen is logging them and giving me other information. Maybe I visually see the bird, but it hasn't made a call. Well, that Audubon app actually helps you identify them visually. It lets you go in and select different, it's black, it's small, it's got whatever, it looks like this shape. Oh, it's a duck, whatever it might be. It helps you identify it. You could also use lens. Zoom in and take a picture with that telephoto and use lens and identify it. There's so much you can do with this thing. And yes, technically you could do all of this with a normal phone, but you would either have those two applications split screen vertically. That sucks. That's just not good at all. Or you're going to be using one of them and then switching back to the other one and then switching back to the other one. That sucks too. The fact that I can have them both operational at the same time, and by the way, shout out to the Pixel Fold having a little bit of a bezel. You see where my thumb is? You see how I'm holding this thing? And I have a good grip on it and I'm not tapping the screen? That's what the bezel is for. I'm just walking around like this, holding the thing, and when I hear something, I go boop, and it tells me what it is. That's awesome. So guys, I'm not sure how many of you will care about this video, how many of you will have made it to this point, but what I want to hear from those of you who have is what sorts of like novel, odd, maybe unique uses have you come up with for your foldable device? Has anything like this happened to you where you needed a particular thing? Maybe you didn't even know that you needed it, but you stumbled across it and you thought, wow, this thing is perfect for this. It handles this like it was made to do it, and it has enriched my life because of it. Let me know in the comments down below, because I would love to hear. I'd love to hear more ways to sort of use the technology to enrich your lives and to break the neurotic cycles that we might be in. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more content like this, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.